and just to keep us on track. Okay, so now we did do a webinar on this earlier in the year, which is taking more looking at predictive analytics, and a lot of the work that's been done in the background has been by our data engineer, Aditya. But and again, building on what Marcus talked about this morning around monitoring and using analytics to actually make decisions, and then using M.App Enterprise to action on those solutions. So you've heard about M.App Enterprise all morning. It's an enterprise GIS platform. One of the areas we don't touch on too often, and I think it's it's the favorite thing I have from M.App Enterprise, is Map Studio. So Marcus did show you in his session how you're able to now preview the maps and see what you're building. But Map Studio does provide now a very easy to use toolkit or configuration suite where you can create your apps, where you can connect the data, create legends, style features, and build these kind of workflows for creating, updating, and editing data, and creating searches and validations. So it's a part of the product we don't always talk about, but it means you can build these workflows. And as I mentioned with Marcus earlier, you can integrate SQL and integrate other technologies into Map Studio so that you can really drive the power of the system. So where the off-the-shelf product maybe has hit its limit, it's very easy to integrate other tools such as machine learning, such as Python scripts, analytics, SQL scripts, or whatever it is you want into your workflows. So in the rich client, which you've just seen there a minute ago, it's an enterprise solution where you can capture and edit data and do measurements and redlining. So we wanted to do a pole maintenance demonstration. So we were going to take a large area of LV network, and on that kind of basis, you are talking about a very expensive to inspect these poles manually, one by one. So organizations, when it comes to assets, when it comes to things these days, they need an enterprise solution to update pole or asset condition during any intervention. So having something mobile to do that, and then using predictive analytics to forecast when a pole requires maintenance. And then by integrating this with M.App Enterprise, we can manage asset maintenance in a cost-effective manner. So we're going to use, and if you had been at the FME World Tour last year, you would have seen how we're using FME to do some of this machine learning analytics. So with assets, they don't always decay uniformly. External events can be an impact, and weather can be a major factor. So we were going to take weather information, overlay that into the asset information, and start forecasting when assets are going to fail. So we were able to get the information for each pole using FME. We were able to read the data in from the data warehouse, and then use Python then to actually do the modeling, to do the machine learning capabilities to forecast when the poles were actually going to fail or were going to be at a dangerous level. And then once we have that data, we were going to be able to visualize the information in M.App Enterprise and work from there. So if I just get my little link and fire up here, so different system. Oh, that didn't work. And I go into my poles maintenance. I'm again in an older version of M.App Enterprise, and I can go into the rich client in M.App Enterprise. Oh, I should shut that one first then. So it'll fire up. And in here now, we'll see the results of the analytic that we've run used FME to take the pole information and visualize that in the map, so that then we're able to use workflows in M.App Enterprise, A, to see that data, and B, then to action out. So if there is poles that are being forecast to be damaged, that we can then assign a job to somebody to actually work on them, so that we can update the information to say we've repaired the pole. So we have the map will come up now, and it'll show all the polls. This is sample data, by the way. It'll show all the polls that we created in this segment in Ireland. And if I hover over a poll, I'll zoom in down here beside this few samples we have here. You can see we have the poll data, and we have our little map here. So we have the survey, and then we have the asset maintenance. So the survey is the data we processed that was historical information. So I can make that active, click on the feature, and I can see the survey information for that record. So you can then see the polls survey. So this is the poll ID, the lat long, when it was done, and then we have the survey information that was captured out in the field or that was generated, which is the defects of the information, the thickness, the scale, and we can update this information and run it and then save that data about the polls. So we're able to run the poll information. But then what we're able to do with the machine learning is actually generate a list of records that need maintenance. So being able to say which polls are using the machine learning forecasting to figure out which of the polls are going to fail, and then assigning jobs to them, so that then when we look at the poll, we can actually work from there. So we can actually update the poll status as we're doing it. So the forecast actually goes out and says, okay, these are the polls that we need to look at. So then we can say, well, actually, we went out to the field, and this could be done on the mobile or done on the rich client. The engineer has resolved the issue. He is then saying the poll has been replaced, put in the information, and saved, and that information is then saved to the database. So we use the analytics to A, calculate the current condition of the polls, and B, then use the analytics to forecast which polls are in need of instant or urgent repair. And then that can be created as a job in the rich client, in M.App Enterprise, actioned upon, and then completed. So you can see we're using really complex machine learning to forecast when an asset is due for repair, or when it's going to break, or anything you want to do. Like this could be road condition forecasting, replacement. All these machine learning models are out there, integrating them with FME into M.App Enterprise, and then being able to run and visualize the information. We're using the rich client here. It could be the mobile app. It could be the BI. Once you get that data in, it's then able to be shared and used. And let me just go back to my slide. And and that's that session. So let me just go back.
I think you made a great point there about it being applied to anything. So whether that's, as I said, from a local government, again, looking at our audience, if that's local government, when it comes to, when you think of playgrounds, I know, which are a huge insurance problem for them. So again, when you're thinking if there are ones out by the sea, for example, with the salt air, will probably need repair a lot quicker than obviously ones inland. There's just loads of different, I suppose, examples you can apply that workflow to, and it's no longer this AI isn't this big scary thing anymore. A lot of these algorithms are online and they're available that you can kind of take down and you can edit and apply them, which I think is really, really useful.
Great. Okay, now that's the end of our session. We have